I believe everyone has a story to tell. And I believe everyone deserves a little pampering. Welcome to Mannies with Grannies. I'm your host, Tiffany Marino. Join me while I sit down with a woman over 70 and get to know her while giving her a manicure. Welcome to this episode of Mannies with Grannies. Today is a really special day. I took Mannies with Grannies on the road. We're in Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm with my friend Caitlin's grandmother, Joan. Joan, thanks for having me in your beautiful home today.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Driving into the neighborhood, it was so cute. It's so lovely and orderly. And then walking into your home, it's so beautifully decorated. Is that something that you've always been talented with, the interior design?
Well, no, not really. I don't feel that I'm talented. I had a lot of help, though, when I moved here with the family shopping with me and picking out furniture and wall decor and all that stuff.
I heard you moved recently?
Well, it's been 4 years ago. My husband passed away, and we had lived in a home on about 3/4 of an acre, and I knew I couldn't take care of it, and it had a basement, and my washer and dryer were there, and it just made sense because I couldn't take care of that much.
We could take your hands out of here. What's your husband's name?
Fred.
How did you and Fred meet?
We met in high school.
Did you start dating in high school?
We did. And then after he graduated, it was at a time when there just weren't any jobs around where we lived, and he joined the Army.
Did you guys graduate the same year?
No, he was a year ahead of me. I graduated in 1960.
How did you feel at your high school graduation?
We were all happy to just be out of school.
Did you have plans for your life at that point?
No, not really. The only plan I had was to get a job. I stayed in the little part of Kentucky that we were raised in.
What was the first job that you got out of high school?
I worked at a trucking firm, $1 an hour. But at that time, I thought I was rich. That was the first job I'd ever had.
What did you do there?
Well, the guy that owned the company, he owned 4 trucking companies, and it was mostly the billing aspect of it.
So Fred joined the Army right
Yes.
out of high school.
Yes.
Did he have to go away?
He did. He went to Germany.
How long was he gone?
He was in the Army for 2 years.
And what was that like for you?
We weren't engaged or anything, so I dated other people while he was gone, but not long after he came home, we were married.
So did you break any hearts?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Do you remember how you got engaged?
I know he talked to my parents, but I didn't actually have an engagement ring. We just had wedding bands.
What was your wedding day like?
It was cold, snowy, January 6th. It wasn't a very pretty day.
What did your dress look like?
It was a long white, not like the styles they have today. It wasn't a sheath or anything like that. It was more a ballerina type.
Who was in your wedding?
My sister, my husband's sister. Gosh, I'm trying to think. Maybe both my sisters. I can't remember exactly. I haven't looked at a full wedding picture for a while.
I just got to meet one of your sisters, Doris.
Mm-hmm.
And you have 2 sisters?
I do. I have another sister, Helen. She's 96.
How old are you?
81.
So where in line?
Doris is 84.
Okay, so Doris is the middle child.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you were the baby.
I am.
What was it like being the youngest of the family?
My oldest sister, I really don't remember her living at home. I was 4 years old when she got married. There's 15 years difference in us. And I just really don't remember her ever living at home. But Doris and I shared a bedroom in an old farmhouse, and we slept upstairs. We didn't have heat upstairs, but we slept under lots of quilts. And I think to this day, that's why I like my bedding heavy blankets. And that's where I think it came from.
What were your parents like?
We didn't have the type family where the dad went to the office every day. We lived on a small farm. That's what he did until in later years, he worked for the state highway department. And my mother was a homemaker, but she worked as a substitute in the post office. But we were grown when she did that.
What kind of farm did your family have?
Well, it was just a small farm. We had a garden, and I remember he had tobacco. But that's all. It wasn't a big farm by any means.
Did you have to help work on the farm?
I did a little bit.
What were some of the things you had to do?
I actually liked being outside and doing that kind of stuff than I did doing the inside work. I helped can and stuff like that.
How old were you when you got married?
20. We have 2 daughters.
What are their names?
Karen and Julie.
Do you remember how you picked their names?
I don't. I sometimes wonder.
Do you know if you were named after anyone?
I don't think so.
You go by Joan, but your full first name is Mary Joan?
Mary Joan. Mm-hmm.
Why don't you include the Mary?
Well, people that have known me all my life sometimes still call me Mary Joan. I have friends from my childhood who call me Mary Joan, but I guess in high school maybe I dropped the Mary.
Do you remember what you were like as a teenager?
I liked to go out and have fun, dance. There was a place we would go on every Friday night where all the high school people went. They just had a jukebox. We didn't have a band or anything, and we danced and just regular teenage stuff, mostly just dancing.
What's the most trouble that you got into?
I don't know. I didn't get into much trouble.
Did you get your driver's license when you were 16?
No, I was probably 18. It was after I went to work. After I got out of high school and went to work, I got my driver's license then. I bought a car. I had my car, I think, before I got my driver's license.
What kind of car was it?
Oh, gosh, it was a Buick, but I couldn't tell you what year it was.
How did you feel driving around in your Buick?
Well, I thought I was cool.
How old were you when you had your first daughter?
21.
What was something that you liked to do as a family? Did you go on vacations?
We did. We went to Daytona several times, Disney World.
Do you remember living through any big historic events?
The Vietnam War, there were some protests and stuff like that going on at that time, but I guess I really wasn't paying too much attention to all that going on because I was busy raising my girls and I worked.
Where did you work after the trucking company?
Well, we moved from Marion County to Louisville. The trucking company had an office here in Louisville, so I worked here until my youngest daughter was born. She was a preemie, and I quit work when she was born. But then I went back to work after she got a little older. I worked for a check printing company. When I was first hired there, it was Clark Checks, but it's changed names several times. I worked there about 27 years.
Did you like your work there?
I did, but I was ready to retire. My husband had already retired, and so I was ready to retire as soon as I could. As soon as I turned 62, I retired.
And did the two of you have retirement plans?
No, not really.
You just wanted to spend time together?
Yeah, like I say, he retired 8 years before I did, so I had a lot of catching up to do. He played golf 3 or 4 days a week.
What do you like to do as a hobby?
I craft, sew, crochet, knit, all that kind of stuff. Used to sew a lot. I used to sew my girls all their clothes, but as they got older, then, they don't like homemade clothes.
How did you learn how to do that?
My mother sewed. My mother made all of our clothes. I guess just watching her and kind of teaching myself.
What did it mean to you to be able to make clothes for your family?
I guess I just thought it was something everybody did because my mother did that. I don't think I had a store-bought dress until I graduated high school. My graduation dress was store-bought. But other than that, I think everything I had was made by my mother.
Was that anything that you thought about at the time?
No. Mm-mm. I guess most everybody that I went to school with was in the same boat. I know we laugh about it. We didn't know we were poor because everybody else was in the same boat. And that's the truth. We thought we were fine, That's just the way everybody did it.
Was it exciting to get that store-bought dress?
Yes, it was. I do remember that day. We went to town in this little store, and I bought a dress.
Was Mom there with you?
Yes, yes.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Would you like to pick out a nail color?
Just something neutral. How about this?
Yeah, that looks good. What's the best piece of advice you've ever gotten?
As far as marriage advice, I guess, would be to trust each other. If you can't trust the person you're with, then, there's a problem.
What did Fred do for work?
He worked in the finance department at General Electric after we moved to Louisville. And actually, that was the reason we moved. He went to college and got his accounting degree, and he got a job at GE.
Did you ever feel like you wanted to go to college?
No, it wasn't really anything I thought about at that time. Everybody didn't go to college like they do now. No, I never really even gave a thought to going to college until you get older, and then you realize, ooh, I should have done that.
If you would have gone to college, what do you think you would have gone for?
Goodness, I don't know. I love technology. I think I would have done something in technology.
I see you have your Apple Watch on.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I love technology. I mean, it has its bad points and good points, but I love the good points.
Are you on social media?
I am.
What do you like about Facebook?
Well, it just allows me to keep up with people that I don't see all the time, and classmates, and find out all the local news from where I used to live, and just mainly because it just lets you keep up with people. I have a group of classmates that we meet once a month for lunch. We keep up real good together.
You seem like you're a very social person.
I do love going places and hosting. I have my girlfriends. I usually have them here on Valentine's Day. I do. I love to host parties or people like that. Today, David, who you met there earlier, they're hosting Christmas, and my husband and I, we used to do that all the time. We hosted Christmas for his family and my family as well. We always had a derby party and any occasion for a party. We'd have people had to sleep on the floor because we didn't have enough beds, but we always had a good time.
What does it mean to you to be able to host?
I just enjoy having all those people together, especially family.
Earlier, you were saying that a lot of your memories, or almost all of your memories, involve your family.
Mm-hmm.
So your family was very close growing up?
Yes, and still are. For several years there, we planned a trip to Pigeon Forge. All the girls in the family would go. You had to be 18. We went last year. There were over 20 of us. We all stayed in one big cabin, and we play cards and games. My sisters and I, we play cards a lot. We have a lot of fun.
When you think about the way you grew up and you see the way kids are growing up now, what do you think about that?
Well, it's completely different. Totally, completely different. Because kids these days have everything. When they can't tell you what they want for Christmas, that means they have too much. And we were lucky to get one present at Christmas. I just think they're spoiled. And I'm part of the problem. But you know, that's just the way it is. They're easy to spoil.
Is there anything you miss from your childhood?
No, I don't think so. Doris and I were just talking about that this morning. We didn't have running water in our house for a while. We did finally get it. And we had to go outside to the bathroom, to an outdoor toilet. And I could see my grandkids doing that. No way. They have to have a shower 2 or 3 times a day sometimes. We got one once a week. It's just a total opposite.
What was your mattress like? Did you have a spring mattress?
I believe we did. My grandmother had a feather bed, and I used to stay all night with her sometime. I loved the feather bed. You just sink down in it.
Did you always have electricity?
Yes. I don't remember not having electricity.
Did your family always have a car?
Yes.
So I'm 38. I'll be 40 in a couple years. Mm-hmm. Do you have any advice for me at this point in my life?
Only thing I could think of is don't sweat the small stuff. It's not worth it.
It's hard sometimes.
I know it is. But the older you get, the more you realize that.
Do you have any goals for the rest of your life?
I'd like to stay independent as long as I can.
You seem very healthy, young. You seem very independent at this point. Do you think that there's anything that you do or did to stay young and healthy?
Actually, as a child, I wasn't that healthy. I had polio when I was 5. But other than that, I just had the normal childhood diseases. And Doris and I slept together, and she never got any of them. But like if we had measles or chicken pox or anything, I would always get them, but she never did.
Having polio at 5 years old, that would have been the mid-40s.
47, yeah. It would have been 47.
What was that like for you?
Well, I really don't remember much about it, really. I've just heard stories. I've heard my mother say that my dad, we had grapevines, and for some reason, I don't know why, he thought that I got it from eating those grapes. Because my sister and I and a neighbor had all been together that day, and I was the only one that got sick. We were living in Marion County, and I had to come to Louisville to a hospital. I was here for several months.
I can't imagine what that was like for your parents.
I've heard, too, that my dad, when they got home from leaving me, he sat on the car bumper and just couldn't go in the house. I don't remember a lot of that at all. I have a scrapbook of cards that people sent me, but I have very few memories.
The story of your dad not being able to go in the house, how does that make you feel?
Well, sad, but he was a softie.
It makes me, I know the story's not about me, but it makes me feel loved for you.
Yes.
It is a sad story, but the love is...
Right. I think we were all daddy's girls, all 3 of us. Like I say, he was a softie.
Well, we are at the end of our manicure. It was really nice to get to know you. It was nice talking to you.
You're very easy to talk to.
Thank you. Thank you. This is great.
Like I said, this was way out of my comfort zone.
Thank you for listening to Manny's with Grannies. I hope you enjoyed learning about someone else, and maybe even learned a little about yourself.